Yo, what is up, man? This is going to be another breakdown. I know I haven't dropped a breakdown in a little while, but we are back at it. What I'm going to go ahead and be breaking down today is going to be a gold setup that I was executing on, and what I'm pretty much anticipating and looking for going in towards the end of the week yesterday, and then what I'm going to be expecting going into next week and Sunday open. So it's not going to be a long video, just something to kind of get those that were watching my videos up to speed and kind of just get myself back on track to posting videos and more setup opportunities. And hopefully, you know, some of you guys that watch my videos could take advantage and apply some of these things to your guys' analysis and your guys' skill set, man. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. I'm not going to take too much of your guys' time, but I definitely want to break this down because this past week did give good setups. So let's go ahead and start with our daily time frame. We're going to go ahead and mark out our daily highs. We're going to go ahead and mark out our daily low here. So this is pretty much a daily range that we are in. According to price action, you guys can see once we tested our resistance at around 34.30, we began to counter trend back to the downside, but we do have to realize that we are still forming higher low points here. So this is one area that I am going to mark out based off our daily time frame. So let's go ahead and go right here. So this is our last higher low point. Our last higher low point after we got our bullish transition based off of this area here. So this is our level of support based off our daily and our 4-hour time frame, and this level here is where we got that like bullish transition based off our daily time frame and our 4-hour time frame. So I'm pretty much marking out these levels so we know which way we are currently trending in the market, despite us having this counter trend for the past week to 2 weeks. So we know we are trending bullish, and in order to get to a higher high, we have to get to a higher low. And for those that may not understand simple market structure, this is pretty much what I mean. This is a simple diagram. So you have a higher high based off this low, then you have a higher low, higher high, higher low, and we're anticipating based off that higher low, we're going to get to a higher high point. So let's go ahead and drop down to our 1-hour time frame where structure may be a lot better. Alright, I think 4 hours is going to be best for this area. So we know based off of our 4-hour and daily time frame, we have this last area of, well, that was the first area of a higher low. Then you have your last area of a higher low right in here based off your daily time frame. So we could go ahead and mark this out, and let's drag this out over here. So we know this was our last area of a higher low after getting that first bullish transition in this area here. So you have your like resistance, 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 finally turn support right in there. As you guys can see, this was kind of an ugly highlight, but you guys see here resistance, resistance, turn support, and then you have price action, which found itself again at these lower levels. So let me go ahead and draw this out. This could be a key area going into next week. All right, perfect. So now let's go ahead and see. Okay, so we see here we're trending bearish. Now, exactly what I would have been looking at to track this price action, you see here we have our first area of a transition based off your 1-hour time frame. Now, the reason I'm doing it off the 1 hour instead of the 4 hours is because we see more details on the 1-hour time frame, and it makes a little bit more sense. So you have support break here, and then you finally have another area right in here when you got that last bullish push to get to this high point before breaking that first level of support. So you got your higher low, 23.6% retracement, then a higher high, higher low. We ranged. Price broke that support for a bullish transition, bearish transition. You see price consolidated throughout this whole area, broke below this support. Then you found this area for a lower high point, which got respected all the way into here, and then you had that bearish continuation. So let's go ahead and mark out our next area. Okay, this is cleaner. Okay, so you have this area down here. You see here, based off this last lower high, price tested it here, created a high, tested that high again, and then we had a bearish continuation follow through. So this week started out on the 22nd. So that was right here when we had market open. Market open bullish, came down, tested support again, and then we played into that level of resistance. So let's see our 4-hour time frame in this area. 4-hour time frame had a strong bullish candle, 6 a.m. I think we also had news this week on Wednesday and Thursday we had news. All right, so let's see. Now I'm trying to see. Okay, so this is even another way. So now I'm gonna use these orange random lines to identify 1 hour support, but I'm gonna use these zones for a 4-hour zone here, because this looks a lot cleaner. Just because we have more volume in these candles, and you can see 4-hour time frame hold this as a level of support, broke through, lower high, try to push down, exhausted, tested this wick level as support, and then we just kind of sat in this area, still respecting this broken level of support as resistance before getting that continuation down. So let's go down to our 30-minute to see how we could have executed in this area. So we see here we're still respecting support. Now, one thing I would be looking for at weekly open, and based off overall price action, I would be looking for buys just because we are still bullish, forming higher lows, higher high, higher lows, higher high. So I would anticipate that this is a higher low zone based off daily time frame, and the way we exhausted and formed 2 daily doji candles, which could be showing that buyers are regaining strength in the market after testing 34.30 as a level of resistance. So let's go back down to our 1-hour time frame. Now we see here when market closed on Friday, we broke this minor level of resistance, and this could have just been a transition level to get back up to the buy side, or to at least get back above this 4-hour broken level of support, to get back above it and continue to test it as support and get to that new higher high. But that could have definitely been a TP1 zone, just pretty much anticipating that bearish strength in the market would have held this level as resistance and continue down for that counter trend. So based off 1-hour time frame, market opened here, came down. We don't have a bullish engulfing yet, but once we have these 3 doji candles, so we had 2 doji candles. This one was kind of a doji too, but it showed a lot of exhaustion in between the hours of 10 to 11 p.m. We could have been anticipating that buyers were going to gain strength to then push back up to this level of resistance. So we're going to go from our 1 hour to our 15-minute. So we see here price tested this level of 15-minute support along that 1-hour support median level. Okay, 10:30, 10:45, kind of a bullish engulfing. This would have been like maybe your best. Okay, let's see, 12, another bullish engulfing with exhaustion. So I would have honestly been in after this. So we had this wick to the downside, and then you had that bullish confirmation candle. This would have been within my time to enter for buys. You would have had about 100 pip stop loss. Whoa. And you would have been targeting the highs for about a 1 to 2 RR. That trade would have hit clean. You would have seen a little bit of drawdown, but as long as you had your stop loss below this level support and price didn't continue to push down, you were still in the clear. Now, how could we have taken advantage of this to its fullest? Let's see. So we see here we broke above this counter trendline opportunity. You had an engulfing, a bullish engulfing. You had exhaustion here. You could have entered even at the break of that high with that bullish engulfing, based off your 15-minute time frame, which would have took maybe about an hour and a half. Even based off of your 30-minute time frame, you had a doji exhaustion candle, another doji candle, and then you had that bullish engulfing. You could have even got in after this candle here, knowing that we were holding that level of support. Would have had about 100 pip stop loss, and that would have been your second entry, and you would have executed for about a 1 to 1.7 R to R, which is clean for this area. Now, of course, we would love to anticipate that price would continue to push above 33.90, which would have been this area, like right in here. But of course, we can't anticipate that every move is going to be super bullish, just because we broke below this 4-hour level of resistance and held this area as a lower high based off this zone right in here. Okay, so that would have been our first opportunity to start Monday. This would have been a London entry opportunity. You would have had two entry times, two entry candles, just based off of this 15-minute support, a break of the counter trend line, and us still respecting that 1-hour support level based off of our median random line here. You could have even executed again for New York session once we got a price rejection off of that 4-hour level of now turn resistance, and price still holding this level of support. You could have executed again right in here as price still respected this 1-hour bullish transition level based off of the first initial breaking point of that support, as we were trying to push bullish right here around 6 to 7 a.m. on Friday close. So we were still holding right here in this area. You could have been on your 5 or 15-minute time frame looking to execute. Now let's see how price would have continued on. So that would have been my trade for Monday. Going on to Monday, London session, rolled over to Tuesday. We had a break. So not a break of that support yet. Let's see how we could have caught this continuation. So we see price is respecting this 1-hour median for a break of support, now testing as a level of resistance. 4-hour support now being tested as a level of resistance. Price is pushing super bearish. We are now testing our new 1-hour support level down here, where price formed that first lower low point after the break right in here. Okay, so we're going to analyze this area right at that support to see if we're going to continue to respect it to get back up to the top of that range, or if we're going to continue to show a bearish transition and continue rallying down to like 3,300 levels. So let's go down to our 15-minute time frame. We do see that 1-hour time frame found a level of support based off your 15-minute time frame. Let's go ahead and draw out our support level here. We have our level of a resistance. Now this is Monday, 6 o'clock at 18. Monday, 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So we got a 4-hour close after this bearish candle. So once price got this little double bottom formation, we would think that price would continue to break resistance to push bullish. But since price exhausted at the top of it and came down with a 15-minute engulfing, we could have been on our smaller time frames looking for that entry opportunity for sales. So let's see here. And I did execute on this sell opportunity. And I think I TP'd for about a 1 to 3 R to R. I don't remember what my entry was, but I think I executed. See, 30-minute form that. Okay. So yeah, this would have been the best entry candle would have been this 15-minute engulfing, which would have took about an hour and 15 minutes. You would have had an entry around 9:30, an 80 pip stop loss. You could have targeted the low for about a 1 to 2 R to R, or you could have targeted the 4-hour level of support, knowing that we have clean price action to get to that downside. And that would have been, that would have been flawless. That would have truly been flawless. You could have even targeted these lows right in here, and you would have still got that like 1 to 2 R to R, 1 to 3 R to R, which is still beautiful. You wouldn't even had to target that 4-hour support level at 3,300. So this would have been your sell opportunity going into Monday London session. All right, let's see. Let's delete all this. We kind of know how we're flowing now. So based off of 4-hour price action and structure, we know we are bearish, forming lower high points. 1-hour time frame is just showing cleaner details. So let's go ahead and measure this next move and see how we would catch further sells going into the rest of the week. All right, so we see here, all right, we got above 23.6 and 38.2. We tested our 50% fib level, showing that there's still like a balance in the market of buyers and sellers, and sellers don't really have that strength. We are just getting a correction in the market to get to that higher low point, or in this case a low point based off daily time frame and 4-hour time frame, to then get back up to the upside. So we see here, based off our 1-hour time frame, price found support. Boom. After we found support, price then found a higher low opportunity where we could have then been tracking buyer strength to see if price was going to continue to build up, to then transition bullish and start forming higher lows and higher highs based off your 1-hour time frame, to then flow with the daily time frame and then get back up to 34.30. So when we started forming these higher low points, we could have anticipated that price was going to continue to form bullish price action to at least come and retest this last level of 1-hour support and test it as resistance, in which case it did here. So when price finally got down to this downside, we see price begin to flow. We got a higher low point right in here. Price is continuing to push bullish. We're going to see if we can respect this resistance level, which is now a new lower high point, to then catch those sells. So I did take a loss in this area here when we had this 1-hour bearish engulfing, which took 3 hours to form. Now, when I go down to the smaller time frames, one thing that I messed up on was noticing that price didn't really break a level of support to then get that bearish transition. Price kind of maintained these higher low points after your hourly higher low point to continue pushing bullish. At this point, this was the safest route for sells, was when we got this last level of support. You had a lower high, then you had this initial lower low, and then a lower high right in here. So I took sells in this area once we tested and had a new market open. So price respected this level of resistance as a lower high point, pushed bullish. We had new daily candle open at 3 p.m. right in here. Now, based off of my, let's see, where did I draw my support? My support was right in here. We see price form like a lower high point, and then we had like this bearish engulfing based off your 30-minute candle. This is where I entered my sell opportunity. And this was like around 7:30, and I was just pretty much targeting our 1-hour level of support here. So I caught about a 1 to 2 R to R, close to a 1 to 2 R to R. Caught about 140 points and had an 80 pip stop loss, which was beautiful. and I ended my week with this trade here. I was able to get funded on one of my accounts, and then on my second account I was able to secure some profit and put myself in position to get funded passing phase 2 on that account. So hopefully I'm able to start next week with the banger, and we can start off the week with 2 funded accounts. So we'll see how that continues to pan out. But yeah, man, that would have been my sell opportunity. Once we got that 1 hour lower high point right in here, we see price give us 2 back-to-back bearish candles right before that daily candle close. Then to start the new daily candle, we tested our level of support, formed a 30-minute engulfing. We could go ahead and go to the 1 minute time frame to see how we get that transition. So you see here, price formed a level of resistance, tried to break it the first time and failed here, came back below, came back up to that resistance, gave yourself a little double top. So anyone who would have been looking at this off of your smaller time frames could have definitely had a sharper R to R if you executed off of that resistance, used your double top as confirmation, had a 30 pip stop loss, and had that same TP. You would have caught about a 1 to 6.8 R to R, which is just as great, man. So hopefully that breakdown makes sense. I'm hoping it does, for the simple fact that price was flowing good, even though we had a lot of consolidation the past 2 weeks. As long as we waited for our confirmation candles, as long as we waited for confirmation within our price action and the way structure is flowing, then everything would have made sense for executing these positions. So let's go ahead and clean this up and see what we're going to be looking at for next week. Let's see. So next week, I'm definitely going to be anticipating a bullish move, without a doubt, just based off of price forming or now testing our daily level of support. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and just clean that up. Now we see here, we're approaching this daily level of support at 32.38. We are still bearish, and we are strong bearish. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So let's see here. So we have a 4-hour level of support. Boom. We know on the top side we're forming what? Lower high points. Lower high points. Now this is going to be our 4-hour median level. So we can mark this out here. 1. Mark out another one right here. 2. Okay. So now we have a bearish close below doji, followed by another bearish candle. We already hit our TP1 for this lower high point here. Okay. So I'm actually just going to be waiting to see how price continues to pan out within like these 32.60 levels. Only because if price can't continue to respect like these lows, and we begin to see more exhaustion based off of your 4-hour, more sellers exhaustion based off your 4-hour and your 1-hour time frame, then we can definitely see a bullish push back up into like 3,300 and potentially continue to travel to the upside based off like this lower high point right in here, based off of your 4-hour and your 1-hour time frame, where we got those sell opportunities. So let's see what 5-minute looks like. I mean, 5-minute isn't giving much, but one thing we know for sure is we can't execute off of this support if it gives us correct confirmation. And then at this point is when we can begin to get a seller's type move if we begin to respect this level of resistance and maybe potentially respect this high as well. So we'll see. But yeah, man, going into the week, I'll be looking for sales, but hopefully later in the week we can build a bullish bias to then get back up to the upside to these 3,300 levels. I'm just drawing technicals to see exactly how this could play out and how price can actually make sense. man. I think this is gonna be it though. I'll kind of leave these technicals and hopefully they begin to make sense. And hopefully price action could play off of them. That'll just really speak a lot of how price moves based off like accurate placed technicals. And then we could just go ahead and execute off those if they make sense and we get our right confirmation. So hopefully that makes sense, man. Hopefully you guys take that with a grain of salt and can apply that to your own analysis. But yeah, man, hopefully you guys had a blessed week as well. Enjoy your guys' weekend. And let's get back to it to start the new week and end off June, man. So you guys have a blessed one. And thank you if you guys watched the whole video, man. Peace.